Hello fellow duelists, this is Shadow of the Moon, and today I'm going to be showing you an updated deck profile of my Raidraptor deck for May of 2023. So, this deck did get a little bit of an upgrade. I did change a few things around on here, but all in all, it's pretty much going to be around the same deck as I was showcasing, I think, a few months ago. The deck, there hasn't really been any support for it, but I have been able to come up with some new strategies and maybe a couple new cards that you're going to actually really enjoy. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive straight on into the deck profile. But if you haven't yet, I just want to say thank you so much for always watching my videos. You rock. Thank you for subscribing, or if you haven't yet, thank you so much just for at least taking the time out to watch my videos. And with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. So, obviously, this here is going to be a lot of people I've seen on the comment section always says, why are you only playing, why don't you just play 2? Why don't you play 1? I like playing 3 Tribute Laniuses because it doesn't slow the deck down. So basically, this card, when it is normal special summon, you can send a Raidraptor card, hence card, from your deck to the graveyard. So also that makes it very useful because unfortunately, however, you are locked into only Raidraptor types, but it doesn't really matter because you can still end on an amazing field with Ultimate Falcon, Arsenal Falcon with the rank up spell, and then just all in all being able to actually have a really good field presence. Everything in the extra deck is going to be dark except for Cyber Dragon Infinity, so for Strangle Lanius it doesn't really even slow the deck down, and I like using 3 because I've never really had a problem with this. Next, we have 3 copies of the Strangle Lanius. Strangle Lanius is amazing. If you control a winged beast monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. It makes it very, very useful, and you just locks you into dark types for the remainder of the turn, which is okay. Like I said before, the only thing I have in here is a Cyber Dragon Infinity. If I don't feel like playing it, I don't have to. I can still go into the usual route of combos that I have, and it's just a very good extender for the deck. And then I have 2 copies of Vanishing Lanius. I knocked this down because, for one thing, this does count as a normal summon, but it does have a great effect because it lets you special summon a level 4 or lower Raidraptor monster from your hand when it is normal summoned. Then I've got Mimicry Lanius, which works as a great extender because Mimicry Lanius actually, if it's sent to the graveyard, you can banish it to add a Raidraptor card from your graveyard back to your hand, or Raidraptor card from your graveyard back to your hand, which really does help because you want to be able to add that extra Strangle Lanius or add the monster that you can special summon again from the graveyard, which makes it really, really worthwhile. And then we have 2 copies of Raider's Wing. Raider's Wing is really good. I did only have 1 for the longest time, but in the event you do draw into this, you want to at least be able to have 1 in the deck, so that way you can keep continuing with your plays. And if you control an Exceed monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, or special summon it from the graveyard by detaching a material, and then the card that is used for the Exceed summon of this card cannot be destroyed by card effect, so it's actually quite annoying. Then you have 1 Singing Lanius. Singing Lanius just makes it to where if you have an Exceed monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. It is a great extender because it is it's a level 4, and everything in this deck is going to be based off of the level 4. It's just kind of like how Black Wings used to play before we got the new support, where everything was level 4 and rank 4, going into like all the different combos. And then we have 3 copies of Pain Lanius. I like running 3 because you do want to see this in your opening hand. You take life point damage equal to either its attack or defense, whichever one is lower, and then you can special summon this card from your hand, and it actually makes it a level 4. So it does help with the deck. And then the extenders, that was going to be it for the Raidraptors. The extender cards I have is obviously Smorg Bird of Perfection. Perfection is great because if you normal special summon a Winged Beast type monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. So it is another level 4 extender, and it is very useful for this deck. Then we have the Perform Mage, the only Perform Mage I have, which is the Hat Trickster. Obviously, this is if you control 2 monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. That's pretty much what it's in there for, is to add an additional extender level 4 to the deck. And then 1 Zephyros the Elite. Zephyros the Elite can bounce back Raider's Nest, which lets you special summon this card, and then you can just play Raider's Nest again. Then you've got Silent Boots, which is the extender for the deck to send this to the graveyard by using Rusty Bard each, and then you go from there. You can add a rank up Magic Launch from your deck to your hand, if you so choose. Then for the hand traps, obviously 3 Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, because Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit's pretty good right now. It's actually in the format, for this format at least, and it's just really good because it's a quick destroying the opponent's card on the field. Yeah, they do get the activity effect, but it actually destroys it, which is very important because it keeps it off the field. And then that's going to be it for the monsters. Let's move on to the spells and traps. So obviously we are playing rank up Phantom Knights Magic Force, or rank up Phantom Knights, rank up Magic Force, Magic Launch, and Soul Shade Force. So respectively, this is going to be for your Infinity, this is going to be going to Arsenal Falcon, and then this is going to be the final card to go from Arsenal Falcon to Kali Yuga. And then we've got 3 Allure of Darkness, the Poor Man's Pot of Prosperity. I do plan on eventually one day replacing these with Pot of Prosperity, but like I said, I've had in my trade binder video looking for Pot of Prosperity. Haven't gotten any bites yet, so in the meantime, I'm using the Poor Man's version, which obviously is not that bad because it lets you still draw 2 cards and you get to banish a Dark Monster, which pretty much everything in this deck is a Dark Monster anyways. Then you've got 3 copies of Zexal Construction. This is a great searcher for your rank up spells. You just discard a card and you can activate one of the effects. Obviously, one of the effects is going to be you're going to search for your Exceed. You're going to search for your rank up card and add it to your hand. So it is actually a really good card for this deck. Alright. Then we're going to have Raidraptor's Nest. If you control 2 or more Raidraptor monsters, you can add a Raidraptor monster from your deck to the graveyard to your hand. So this is a great way to be able to add it from your deck to the graveyard to your hand to be able to keep going with it. If you need like a Singing Lanius, a Pain Lanius, even if you need a Raider's Wing, this is a good way to do it because you just have to have Raidraptor monsters of different names, which pretty much everything in this deck is a different name anyways. Then we got 1 Call by the Grave because of the format right now. Call by the Grave is good for being able to banish the card that they have in their graveyard that you want to get rid of so they don't activate the effect. And that's going to be it for the spells. Let's move on to the trap. So we have 1 Shade Brigading because it counts as a level 4 monster trap that can be played on your turn when you set it. And then obviously 3 Infinite Imperm because this is a great tech card in this deck. This is great to be able to stop and negate monster or effect from that column. Alright, so that's going to be it for the main deck. Let's move on to the extra deck. And not really anything has changed, but I'll go ahead and run it back anyways. So obviously your Ultimate Falcon, your Caliuga, and your Arsenal Falcon. So Arsenal Falcon, self-explanatory, goes into Caliuga. Ultimate Falcon can be special summoned using Gaga Magician, and just it makes it to where it's indestructible, and it's 500 points stronger than a full Armor Master, which makes it even more deadly in my opinion. Then we have Revolution Falcon Air Raid, and then Revolution Falcon Wind. Obviously, self-explanatory. When this gets destroyed, you can special summon this card from the extra deck. Then we've got 2 Force Strix. You're going to need 2 for this deck because you need to be able to activate the effect multiple times because 1 isn't going to be enough since it is a Raidraptor. And then I just love this effect. Raider's Knight go into Arc Rebellion XYZ Dragon. This completely shuts down all of the effects on the field for the remainder of the turn and increases his attack based off of the total attack of all face-up monsters, which is just hilarious to see this thing up to like 13,000, and then just attack your opponent for game. And then we have 1 Cyber Dragon Infinity because Infinity is the only Omni Negate that we have in this deck. Mainly you're going to be special summoning Force Strix using Soul Shade Force, and then you're going to be ranking up into your Cyber Dragon Infinity. And then Time Thief and Gaga Magician. I'm going to end up replacing this with the Evil Swarm Nightmare as soon as I get it. I did buy it not too long ago, so I'm just waiting on it in the mail. But in the meantime, this is a good substitute if you wanted to use this. This lets you either draw, if you attach a spell card to it, you can detach a spell card to draw a card. If it's a trap, you can send a face-up card your opponent controls back to the top of the deck. And then if it's a monster, you can banish this card to the end phase of the turn, which kind of gets through a lot of effects and makes it to where he comes back and can keep stealing your opponent's cards. Every single one of your standby phase and theirs. And then now we're going to go on to the last Link monster. So we've got 2 Force Strix because you need 2 in this deck. And then your Phantom Knight's Rusty Bardiche, which is a great extender for the deck. This is what's going to allow you to get your rank up spells and go on into Caliuga and Ultimate Falcon. So that's going to be it for this deck profile. I hope you enjoyed it. This deck is a lot of fun. I love that it is so much like Black Wings, but at the same time has its own identity because there's a lot of things that you can do with this deck. It's just funny to see Ultimate Falcon just ruin people's day because of how ridiculously high attack it is. I mean, it's 3,500 attack. That's pretty high for a, for a monster that's indestructible. And normally things that would be indestructible would be like 2,000, 25, or even full Armor Masters 3,000. This thing is 35, so I've seen people on Master Duel while I go pro, they have struggled with this card. My wife has struggled with this card. She's actually gotten a card that's been 3,400 attack and has actually literally cussed me out because she can't figure out a way to actually get around 3,500 because she literally needs 100 more attack just to be able to destroy it. So I do love the Raidraptor archetype, and hopefully maybe eventually we will get more support for it, but in the meantime this is gonna do this just does just fine for now. I don't mind it. So that's gonna be it for this deck profile. I hope you enjoy it, and with that, I'll see you guys next time. Later.